the scribe repeated the word, and when Smith approved it, the stone would display a new word in its place, and so on until all 531 pages of the book had been written down in English, the English of 1830, the English that Smith and his followers would naturally have spoken, not at all. Listen to some of it. First, note the layout. This is the Book of Mormon. It's entirely familiar. Chapters, verses, footnotes, just like the King James Bible. Now listen to some of the prose, remembering that as was written shortly before 1830. Mark Twain remarked that if you remove all occurrences of "it came to pass," the Book of Mormon would be reduced to a pamphlet. You also need to know that the land bountiful is believed by Mormons to refer to somewhere in America. This following passage from the third book of Nephi, chapter 11, it describes the visit to America of Jesus Christ. And now it came to pass that there were a great multitude gathered together, of the people of Nephi, round about the temple which was in the land bountiful. And they were marveling and wondering one with another, and were showing one to another the great and marvelous change which had taken place. And they were also conversing about this Jesus Christ, of whom the sign had been given concerning his death. It came to pass that while they were thus conversing one with another, they heard a voice as if it came out of heaven. And they cast their eyes round about, for they understood not the voice which they heard. And it was not a harsh voice, neither was it a loud voice. Nevertheless, and notwithstanding it being a small voice, it did pierce them that did hear to the centre, insomuch that there was no part of their frame that it did not cause to quake. Yea, it did pierce them to the very soul, and did cause their hearts to burn. And it came to pass that again they heard the voice, and they understood it not. Again, this is written in the 19th century, and again the third time they did hear the voice, and did open their ears to hear it. And their eyes were towards the sound thereof. And they did look steadfastly towards heaven, from whence the sound came. And behold, the third time they did understand the voice which they heard. And it said unto them, Behold my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased. It's even plagiarized, in whom I have glorified my name, hear ye him. And it came to pass, as they understood, and so on and on it goes. It is a rip-off of the King James Bible. The man was obviously steeped in the King James Bible and he could churn it out just ad lib, and that's what he did. Before any of this happened, Joseph Smith had built up a track record in the area as a psychic diviner of buried treasure. He claimed to be able to see underground, looking for treasure by looking through his hat. Everything about the Book of Mormon reeks of fake. Joseph Smith was an obvious charlatan. That's not an interesting fact in itself. There have been numerous charlatans down the ages. The point is that Mitt Romney, candidate for the job of most powerful man in the world, with his finger on the nuclear button, is a gullible fool who believes Joseph Smith. It seems to me entirely right that journalists should question him on his Mormon beliefs. They should not feel it's so taboo they have to tiptoe around. The only reason President Obama should refrain from doing so, if he should, would be a purely tactical reason. It might put voters off because they wrongly, in my view, think that to do so would be to go against the spirit of the First Amendment. Christian scriptures are genuinely ancient. The translations from Hebrew and Greek that Christians use are in a language contemporary with the translators. The Book of Mormon is not ancient. The language of its alleged translation is ludicrously anachronistic. It contains absurdities, scientifically demonstrable absurdities, about the origin of Native Americans, about people of African descent. It's an absurd piece of work, and a man who seriously believes it, it seems to me, cannot be trusted to have the sort of acumen, the sort of critical mind that you need in a leader of a great country. DNA evidence conclusively refutes the claim that Native Americans are a remnant of the House of Israel. The idea that Jesus visited America is archaeologically preposterous. The idea that Adam and Eve did, too, is even worse. It's at least arguable that Jesus existed, and the traditional Mormon belief in the inferiority of black people, only lately renounced for reasons of political expediency, is as scientifically inaccurate as it is obnoxious. The great prophet Brigham Young even prescribed the death penalty for interracial marriage. Any other Christian belief's as daft as Mormonism. Yes, More than 40% of the American people believe, in rather consistent Gallup polls since the 1980s, that the world is 6,000 years old. If any presidential candidate believed that, I don't care how good his taxation policy, his economic policy, his foreign policy might be, he's not fit to hold office in this country. He doesn't have the kind of mind we can respect.